Thank God one child turned out normal. Dad raised his champagne glass toward my brother Christopher at Christmas dinner, the chandelier light catching on his medical degree framed behind him. Everyone lifted their glasses to toast the golden child, the surgeon, the success story, the one who proved the family wasn't completely broken. I reached into my bag, pulled out 5 years of therapy records, and slid them across the hand-carved dining table. He's been in my sessions, as my patient, for addiction. Want to know what he says about this normal family? My brother's mask finally cracked, not shattered. Just that first hairline fracture that says everything's about to fall apart. My name is Dr. Sienna Caldwell, and yes, the irony isn't lost on me. I'm the family therapist in a family that desperately needs therapy but refuses to admit it. For 34 years, I've been the troubled one while Christopher played perfect. Tonight, professional ethics be damned, everyone was going to learn what normal really costs. The dining room fell silent except for Bing Crosby crooning White Christmas from Mom's vintage record player. 23 family members frozen mid-toast, champagne bubbles still rising in their glasses like tiny escaping secrets. What the hell are you talking about? Uncle Robert spoke first, always the family enforcer. Christopher's wife, Madison, gripped his arm. Chris? Sienna? Christopher's voice was deadly quiet. Don't! 5 years, I continued, my voice clinical, detached, the only way I could do this. 5 years of twice-weekly sessions. Started with Adderall abuse to get through residency. Escalated to cocaine to maintain the 18-hour surgery days. Currently managing recovery from a third relapse that none of you know about because he's so good at being normal. This is a violation. Christopher stood up, hands shaking. Of everything, but of what? Doctor-patient confidentiality? You haven't been my patient for 3 months. You fired me, remember? When I suggested you tell the family the truth. When I said the pressure of being the only successful child was literally killing you. Mom dropped her champagne flute. It shattered on the Italian marble she'd insisted on installing to impress the neighbors. Christopher doesn't do drugs. He's chief of surgery at a hospital where he wrote his own prescriptions for 2 years, I said. Until the board caught him and mandated therapy. My therapy. Because apparently I'm good enough to fix the family golden boy, just not good enough to be considered successful myself. You're lying. Dad's face went purple, the same color as when he disowned me for 10 minutes after I got my useless psychology degree instead of going to medical school. I opened the folder, though I didn't need to read it. I'd memorized every word, every confession, every breakdown. December 15th, 2020. The pressure of being the only child they're proud of is suffocating. Sienna's the therapist, but I'm the one who needs therapy. God, the irony! Christopher sank into his chair. Madison pulled away from him like addiction might be contagious. March 3rd, 2021, I continued. Sienna asked why I use. I couldn't tell her it's the only time I don't hear Dad saying I'm the only one who made it. The only time I don't feel responsible for proving the family isn't worthless. Stop, Christopher whispered. June 18th, 2022. Madison's pregnant. I should be happy. All I can think about is another generation of this family's toxic expectations. Will I toast my son someday, calling him normal while his siblings suffer in silence? Madison gasped. You told her about the pregnancy before me? He told me about the miscarriage before you too, I said quietly. And how relieved he was. How guilty that relief made him feel. The room erupted. Aunts clutching pearls, uncles demanding explanations, cousins recording everything on their phones because this was better than any reality TV show they'd ever seen. Enough! Dad roared, standing up every inch the federal judge who'd terrorized courtrooms for 30 years. This is a family dinner, not a therapy session. That's the problem, I shot back. It's never a therapy session. It's always a performance. Christopher performs success. I perform failure. Mom performs perfect hostess. You perform patriarch. And everyone wonders why we're all falling apart behind the scenes. We're not falling apart. Mom's been on Xanax for 15 years, I said, turning to her. Started when Christopher got into Johns Hopkins and you realized you'd pinned all your worth on his achievements. Doubled the dose when I became a therapist instead of a real doctor. Mom's hand went to her throat, fingers finding the pearls she twisted when anxious, which was always. Dad's been having an affair with his court reporter for 3 years, I continued. Christopher told me during a session about family secrets. He saw you at the Marriott downtown when he was meeting his dealer. Dad's purple went white. Mom's white went gray. Cousin Jennifer's eating disorder that everyone pretends is a health kick. I gestured to my skeletal cousin. Uncle Robert's gambling debt that Grandma secretly paid off twice. Aunt Patricia's husband didn't die of a heart attack. Stop! Patricia screamed. You have no right. He killed himself, I said quietly. And everyone agreed to lie about it because suicide doesn't happen in normal families. Just like addiction doesn't happen to golden children. Just like the family therapist couldn't possibly know what she's talking about. Christopher stood up again, steadier now, resignation replacing panic. You want to know what I told her last week? During our final session? Everyone turned to him, their perfect boy, their success story, their proof that the Caldwell family produced excellence. I said I envied Sienna. The family failure? The disappointment. The one who went into soft science instead of real medicine? He laughed bitterly. Because she's the only one who's actually free. She's the only one not killing herself to live up to an impossible standard. That's ridiculous, Dad sputtered. You're chief of surgery. I'm a functional addict with a God complex and a prescription pad. Christopher exploded. I haven't been sober for more than 6 months straight since medical school. You know what I did last Tuesday? Operated on a 6-year-old while coming down from a 3-day bender. Saved her life while mine was falling apart. That's your normal son. Madison stood up, wedding ring catching the light as she pulled it off. I'm done. I won't. She looked at me. How long have you known? Since the beginning, I admitted. He came to me before you were even engaged. Begged me to help him get clean for you. And I tried. God, I tried. But every family dinner, every toast to his success, every comparison to his mess of a sister pushed him deeper into needing something to numb the pressure. You should have told me. I'm a therapist. I couldn't break confidentiality, even for family, especially for family. But you're breaking it now, Uncle Robert accused, because he's not my patient anymore. Because watching this family toast to his normalcy while he's dying inside is something I can't do again. Because maybe, just maybe, the truth can save us where lies have been killing us. Mom found her voice small and broken. Christopher, honey, why didn't you tell us? He laughed, not bitter this time, just exhausted. Tell you what? That your perfect son is just as broken as your disappointing daughter? That the medical degree you brag about at church came at the cost of my sobriety? That every time Dad toasts my success, I want to scream that Sienna's the real success. She helps people without destroying herself? That's not... I never meant... Dad stumbled over words, the judge finally without a verdict. Thanksgiving 2019, Christopher continued. You stood right here and said, thank God Christopher saves lives while Sienna just listens to people whine. Do you know where I went after dinner? To Sienna's apartment. To beg her to take me as a patient. To tell her I was drowning and she was the only one who could save me. Your disappointment daughter saved your perfect son, and you never even knew. I pulled out more papers. Every family member in this room has been mentioned in his sessions. The pressure you put on him to represent the family's success. The way you use his achievements to justify your own failures. The constant reminders that he's the only one who made it. We were proud, Mom started. You were parasites, Christopher said flatly. Living through my success because you couldn't face your own mediocrity. Every surgery I performed was proof that the Caldwells weren't failures. Every award I won validated your parenting. Every time you introduced me as my son the surgeon, I died a little more inside. And Sienna? He turned to the family. The one you all pity? She has a thriving practice. She's published in journals you couldn't pronounce. She saved more lives than I have, just differently. But because she doesn't have doctor in front of her name on a hospital directory, she's the failure? You're a therapist too? Cousin Michael asked me, genuinely surprised. PhD in clinical psychology from Stanford, I said quietly. Specializing in addiction and family trauma. Published researcher. Guest lecturer at Berkeley. But sure, I'm the family disappointment because I don't cut people open for a living. I didn't know, Aunt Patricia started, because you never asked. None of you did. Too busy comparing me to Christopher to actually see what I've accomplished. Grandma, 91 and supposedly senile, spoke for the first time all dinner. I knew. Everyone turned to her. I knew about Christopher's problem. Recognized the signs from my father. Same look in the eyes, same excuses, same perfect facade. And I knew about Sienna's success because I actually read her book. You wrote a book? Mom gasped. 3, I corrected. One's a bestseller in academic circles. But Christopher's surgery articles, that you've never read but display prominently, those are the real achievements, right? This is destroying our family, Uncle Robert declared. No, I said firmly. The lies destroyed our family. The pressure destroyed our family. The image management destroyed our family. This finally, this might save us. Save us? Dad laughed bitterly. You've ruined Christmas. I've ruined the performance of Christmas. The actual holiday, about family, love, honesty, that's been ruined for years by your need to pretend we're perfect. Christopher walked over to me, unsteady but determined. Show them the last entry. Chris, show them. I turned to the final page, dated 3 days ago, technically after he'd terminated therapy, just a letter he'd sent. December 22nd. Sienna, I know I fired you as my therapist, but I'll never fire you as my sister. You've carried my secret, my shame, my addiction, all while being labeled the family failure. You've saved my life repeatedly while they toast to my success. This Christmas, when Dad inevitably makes his speech about normal children, I want to disappear. But I won't, because you taught me that normal is a myth we tell ourselves to avoid facing who we really are. Thank you for being abnormal. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being the only family member who sees me as Christopher, not as a symbol of Caldwell's success. Tears ran down Christopher's face as he hugged me, the first real contact we'd had in years that wasn't across a therapy desk. I'm checking into rehab, he announced. Tomorrow. Sienna's arranged everything. 90 days inpatient. And when I come out, I'm taking a sabbatical from surgery. Your career, Dad protested, will be there when I'm actually healthy enough to do it justice. Or it won't, and I'll find something else. Maybe I'll become a therapist like Sienna. God knows this family needs more than one. Madison stood by the door, coat in hand. I'll drive you to rehab tomorrow. As a friend. Nothing more. Not until you're really sober. Really yourself, Christopher nodded. Fair. This is insane, Mom said weakly. Our perfect Christmas was never perfect, Grandma interrupted. Just well staged. Like every Caldwell gathering for 50 years. At least now it's honest. I started packing up the files. I'm going home. My real home, where I don't have to pretend to be less than I am to make others feel better about themselves. Running away again? Dad's last attempt at control? No, walking away from toxicity. There's a difference. One Christopher's about to learn in rehab. One you all might learn if you ever try therapy yourselves. As if we'd come to you after this betrayal, Uncle Robert spat. I'd refer you anyway, I said calmly. Treating family is unethical. I only took Christopher because he was desperate and wouldn't go to anyone else. But you're right, you shouldn't come to me. You should go to someone who hasn't spent 34 years watching you destroy each other with expectations and lies. I headed for the door, then turned back one last time. Oh, and Dad? Your court reporter called Christopher looking for you last week. Apparently she's pregnant. Might want to factor that into your normal family. Calculations. The last sound I heard before the door closed was Mom's scream in China, breaking the perfect Caldwell family finally, shattering like it should have years ago. Outside, snow fell soft and clean. Christopher joined me on the porch, Madison waiting in her car. Thank you, he said simply. For destroying Christmas? For destroying the lie of Christmas. For being brave enough to be the bad guy so I could finally stop being the good guy. You know they'll blame me for everything. They always have. Might as well earn it this time. We stood there, two siblings who'd played our assigned roles for so long we'd almost forgotten they were roles. The genius and the disappointment. The success and the failure. The normal one and the problem. Sienna? Christopher asked. In therapy, did I ever tell you why I really went into surgery? To save lives, you said. No. To have the power to cut things out. Tumors, diseases, problems. I thought if I could cut enough bad things out of other people, maybe I could figure out how to cut the rot out of our family. You can't cut out dysfunction with a scalpel, Chris. No. But apparently, you can expose it with therapy records and brutal honesty. They'll never forgive me. They'll never forgive themselves. That's worse, Madison honked softly. Time to go. Hey, Sienna? Christopher turned back. Next Christmas? Want to have dinner at my place? Just us abnormal kids? Rehab might change you, Chris. You might want the family performance again. God, I hope not. I hope it makes me more like you. Successful in ways that matter, not just ways that photograph well. As his car pulled away, my phone buzzed with texts. 17 family members in various stages of outrage, denial, and, surprisingly, gratitude. Cousin Jennifer. Thank you for saying it out loud. Uncle Robert's son. Dad's at the casino right now, even on Christmas. Grandma. Proud of you, dear. Someone had to lance the wound. And then, at the bottom, from Mom. Your father left. The court reporter. Can you recommend someone? A therapist, I mean, not you. But someone like you. Someone who sees through the performance. I texted back a colleague's number. Because even though they'd spent 34 years denying my worth, I was still a therapist. Still someone who believed in healing, even for families that had hurt me. But I wasn't their scapegoat anymore. Wasn't the failure they needed me to be so Christopher could be the success. I was Dr. Sienna Caldwell, published author, successful therapist, and the only member of the Caldwell family brave enough to tell the truth at Christmas dinner. And that was the most normal thing I'd ever done.